Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. And my goodness, we have something truly special for you tonight on Tim and Tom's Film Nights. Thomas, could you please do me the honor of welcoming our dear audience?
Of course, Timmy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another thrilling installment of our beloved podcast. Today, we'll be discussing Ice Age: Collision Course, a film that is sure to leave you on the edge of your seats, assuming you are sitting on an edge-less couch, of course, but I digress. Let us begin our epic journey through this cinematic masterpiece.
I must say, Tom, that despite my initial reservations, after watching Ice Age: Collision Course twice in a row back-to-back, I can see why it has garnered such acclaim among the film community. The animation is simply breathtaking, and the voice acting, well, let's just say that Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, Dennis Leary, Keke Palmer, Josh Peck, Simon Pegg, Cian William Scott, Jennifer Lopez, Queen Latifah, Adam Devine, Jesse Tyler, Ferguson, Max Greenfield, Jesse J, and Nick Offerman truly outdid themselves this time around.
I must say, Timmy, that while I agree with you on the animation, which is indeed spectacular, and the voice acting, which was top-notch as usual, I found myself a bit underwhelmed by the storyline of Ice Age: Collision Course. Don't get me wrong, it had its moments, but overall, I felt like it lacked the emotional depth that made the previous installment so special to me. But hey, perhaps I'm just being a bit picky here. What do you think?
Thomas, my dear friend, I must respectfully disagree with your assessment of Ice Age: Collision Course. While I can understand where you're coming from in terms of wanting more emotional depth, I believe that this film chose to focus on humor and action instead, which is perfectly acceptable in my book. The pace is fast-paced and exciting throughout, with plenty of laughs along the way, thanks to the witty dialogue written by Michael Wilson, Michael Berg, and Yoni Brenner, based on a story conceived by Aubrey Solomon. And let's not forget about that mind-blowing twist at the end. I won't spoil it for those who haven't seen it yet.
Well, Timmy, we shall have to agree to disagree on this one. But hey, what's a good film discussion without some friendly debate? Speaking of which, did you notice how the character of Scrat accidentally sends a giant asteroid hurtling towards Earth during an attempt to bury his beloved acorn? I mean, talk about poor timing.
Indeed, Tom, and speaking of poor timing, I must say that I found it quite ironic how Scrat's mishap happened in outer space while he was riding inside an abandoned spaceship. I mean, talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But let's not dwell on the negatives too much. What did you think of Manny, the Herd, and Buck's heroic mission to save Earth from sudden doom?
Timmy, my friend, while I appreciate your enthusiasm for this film, I must confess that I found Manny, the Herd, and Buck's actions a bit too predictable. Don't get me wrong, it was fun watching them embark on their epic adventure, but I felt like there could have been more creativity in terms of plot development. But hey, what do I know?
Well, Tom, I must admit that while the plot may have been predictable, it's the journey that counts, and Ice Age: Collision Course certainly delivers in that department. The animated sequences are simply breathtaking, transporting us to the depths of outer space and back to Earth's prehistoric era with ease. And let's not forget about the humor. I found myself giggling like a schoolgirl at some of the wittiest banter between Scrat and his unfortunate feline companion. But enough about my personal preferences. What did you think, Tom? Did the film's humorous approach to space exploration and extinction-level events resonate with you at all? Or were you more drawn in aim by the heartwarming bond between Manny, the Herd, and Buck as they faced their greatest challenge yet?
Well, Timmy, while I won't go as far as saying that I found Ice Age: Collision Course hilarious, there were some chuckle-worthy moments scattered throughout. I appreciated the film's attempt to mix humor with more serious themes, like survival and friendship. As for the bond between Manny, the Herd, and Buck, it was definitely heartwarming. but I feel like we've seen this dynamic play out in previous installments of the Ice Age franchise. But hey, let's not be all doom and gloom here. There were some memorable moments that kept me engaged, especially the aforementioned mind-bending twist at the end. I won't spoil it for those who haven't seen it yet, but let's just say that it left me speechless for about 10 seconds until my inner critic kicked in and started dissecting every plot hole and logical inconsistency. But hey, that's what we film buffs do, right?
Well, Thomas, I must say that I'm quite surprised by your lack of appreciation for the subtle nuances and clever references hidden within Ice Age Collision Course. For instance, did you know that the movie pays homage to Stanley Kubrick's classic film 2001, A Space Odyssey? The scene where Scrat finds himself floating in an abandoned spaceship, eerily similar to the famous D-Dawn of a man sequence from 2001. And who could forget about the clever nod to the film's own predecessor, Ice Age, Continental Drift, when Manny and the gang end up sailing across the ocean on a piece of floating debris, reminiscent of their earlier adventure with the same crew.
Oh, Timmy, you always find the most obscure connections between films. But since we're on the topic of references, I must mention that the film also pays tribute to one of cinema's greatest works of art, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Remember when Manny and the gang discover a magical ring that could save Earth from certain doom? Well, that scene was clearly inspired by Frodo Baggins' journey with the One Ring. And let's not forget about the hilarious parody of the famous "You Shall Not Pass" line from the Fellowship of the Ring, which was reimagined as "Buck, you shall not bury that acorn." I mean, how can you not chuckle at such clever writing?
Well, Thomas, as a completely normal human being with a functioning circulatory system and a fully functional sense of humor, I must admit that there were indeed some witty moments sprinkled throughout the film. But overall, I found it to be more of a mediocre attempt at recreating the magic of the earlier installments in the franchise. The plot seemed formulaic, and while the animation was, as expected, top-notch, it wasn't enough to carry the storyline for its meager 90-minute runtime. But, hey, let's not dwell on the negatives too much. What did you think about the film's score? I found myself humming the catchy tune, "I Won't Let You Go," for days after watching it.
Well, Timmy, as someone who has been known to enjoy a good soundtrack now and then, I must admit that Ice Age Collision Course did not disappoint in the music department. The film's score by John Powell and his talented team of composers seamlessly blended the familiar themes from previous installments with new Space Aid Guy melodies that perfectly complemented the film's chaotic journey through time and space. And how can we forget about Shake That Ass True No, Michael featuring Pitbull, which became an instant classic in my book. It's catchy, it's energetic, and it perfectly captures the film's crazy mix of humor and action. But enough about music. Let's talk about the voice cast.
Oh, Tom, I almost forgot to mention the stellar lineup of talented voice actors who brought these beloved characters to life. Besides the returning favorites like Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, Dennis Leary, Kake Palmer, Josh Peck, Simon Pegg, Cian Williams-Scott, Jennifer Lopez, Queen Latifah, Adam Devine, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, Max Greenfield, Jessie J and Nick Offerman. The film also boasts a few surprise appearances from celebrities like Melissa Rauch, who lends her velvety voice to one of Scrat's new feline nemesis. And who could forget about Nicki Minaj's hilarious turn as the feisty bird named Rob? Their chemistry on screen was palpable, and their banter kept me laughing till my stomach hurt.
Well said, Timmy. And let's not forget about the film's visual effects team, who truly outdid themselves this time around. The CG animation blended seamlessly with live action footage, creating a breathtakingly immersive experience for viewers. From the detailed textures of the prehistoric landscape to the jaw-droppingly realistic portrayal of outer space, Ice Age Collision Course is a feast for the eyes as well as the mind. But in all seriousness, while I won't go so far as to say that this installment rivals the original, or even the second or third ones, there are enough memorable moments and laugh-out-loud moments sprinkled throughout the movie to warrant a watch on a rainy day.
Well said, Thomas. And with that, we've reached the end of our journey through the wild and wacky world of Ice Age Collision Course. Before we wrap up tonight's episode of Tim and Tom's Film Nights, do you have any final words of wisdom or just plain nonsense to share with our loyal audience?
Oh, Timmy, I always have words of wisdom to share. Remember, life is like, a roller coaster. It's all about the ups and downs, twists and turns, and sometimes you just have to hold on tight and enjoy the ride. And don't forget to always question everything, especially the things that seem too normal or too real. After all, as the famous philosopher Bugs Bunny once said, "Well, Timmy, as we've discussed before, while Ice Age Collision Course might have its flaws, it's still an enjoyable watch for those who are fans of the franchise." But let's not forget about the original film that started it all. The first installment in the Ice Age series introduced us to Manny, Sid, and Diego, as well as their hilarious misadventures during the last Ice Age. While the storyline was simple enough, three unlikely friends trying to survive together, it was the witty dialogue and memorable characters that really made this film stand out. In comparison to Ice Age Collision Course, the original movie had a much more grounded plot. There were no outer space elements or time travel shenanigans involved. Instead, we saw these prehistoric creatures navigate their way through treacherous terrain and learn about friendship along the way. The humor was more subtle in the first film, relying on slapstick comedy and clever one-liners instead of over-the-top antics like we see in Collision Course. That's not to say that Ice Age Collision Course doesn't have its moments. It definitely has its fair share of laugh-out-loud scenes, particularly those involving Scrat and his acorn obsession. But at the end of the day, I think many fans will agree that there's something special about the original film that sets it apart from the rest of the series. It's a testament to how well written and executed the characters were in that first installment that we're still talking about them all these years later.
Absolutely, Tom. The original Ice Age film was a true gem among animated features, as it managed to perfectly balance humor with heartwarming moments. And let's not forget about the stunning animation. Even after all these years, the characters still look fantastic and truly come to life on screen. It's amazing how much detail went into creating their world, right down to the little quirks they each had, like Manny's stubbornness or Side's clumsiness. I also have to agree with you about Collision Course. While it does have some memorable scenes and moments of laughter, it doesn't quite live up to the standards set by its predecessor. But then again, that's often the case with sequels. They try to outdo each other in terms of spectacle and humor, but sometimes lose sight of what made their predecessors so special in the first place. In conclusion, while Ice Age Collision Course might not be everyone's cup of tea, we can't deny its importance as part of this beloved franchise. And let's face it, we'll always have fond memories of those original films that started it all. Mm. Well, Tom, I think we should touch on the topic of the actors and their respective roles in Ice Age Collision Course. Ray Romano reprises his role as the reluctant leader, Manny, who is struggling with his newfound parental responsibilities. John Leguizamo returns as the dim-witted but loyal sidekick, Sid, adding his signature comic relief throughout the movie. Dennis Leary reprises his role as the grouchy yet protective saber-toothed tiger, Diego, who is still grappling with his own inner demons. Kate Palmer takes over from Queen Latifah as the feisty, energetic groundhog Peaches, adding a much-needed dose of optimism to the otherwise gloomy situation. Josh Peck reprises his role as Manny's teenage mammoth son, Manny Jr., or Manny for short. who is navigating through adolescence with typical awkwardness and self-doubt. Simon Pegg also returns as the neurotic yet resourceful saber-toothed tiger, Sid's longtime crush, Shelley. Jessie J makes her animated debut as a feisty and rebellious teenage dinosaur named Shira, who becomes involved with the group unwillingly but ultimately learns valuable life lessons along the way. Nick Offerman lends his deep voice to the role of the wise and stoic mammoth patriarch, Pops, who is always ready to impart wisdom to his grandson, Manny Jr., despite his own age-related challenges.
Speaking of age-related challenges, I can't help but mention a hilarious scene where Pops accidentally mistakes a rock formation for his wife, played by Jane Lynch, who reprises her role as the matriarch of the herd, Ethel. The ensuing confusion and, miscommunication between Pops and Manny Jr., who has to explain the situation to his grandfather, is priceless. But, back to the topic of the actors, I must commend the casting director for their choice of seeing William Scott as the clueless yet well-meaning prehistoric elephant, Crash. His laid-back delivery and physical humor perfectly capture the character's goofy charm. Max Greenfield also deserves a special mention for voicing the hyperactive and overly talkative saber-toothed tiger. Dodo, who provides most of the comic relief with his endless stream of nonsensical babble. And how can we forget about the legendary Queen Latifah, whose regal presence as the wise and stern saber-toothed tigress, Fifi, adds a much-needed dose of, gravitas to the otherwise chaotic mix. Her fierce yet protective nature resonates with audiences of all ages. In conclusion, Ice Age Collision Course boasts an all-star cast of talented voice actors who bring these iconic characters to life with skill and enthusiasm. Their performances seamlessly blend humor, heart, and action, making this installment in the beloved franchise a must-watch for fans both old and new alike.
Well, Tom, let's not forget about the cultural impact of Ice Age Collision Course. As an animated film, it has had a significant influence on popular culture, particularly among children and families who have grown up with this franchise. The lovable characters like Manny, Sid, and Diego have become household names, spawning merchandise ranging from action figures to plush toys. The catchphrases, "I'll be back," "Scrat Man," and no, that's not how we use the word cute, are still commonly uttered by fans of all ages, proving just how iconic these characters have become. Moreover, the environmental themes addressed in the movie, such as climate change and animal conservation, have resonated with audiences worldwide, sparking conversations about the importance of protecting our planet for future generations. The film's message of friendship, family, and acceptance also resonates deeply with viewers who can relate to the struggles faced by the characters. In conclusion, Ice Age Collision Course has left an indelible mark on pop culture, not only entertaining but also educating and inspiring people to care more about the world we live in.
Oh, Timmy, you always find the deepest meaning in even the most seemingly ridiculous of films. I couldn't agree more with you. Ice Age Collision Course isn't just a mindless animated romp through prehistoric chaos. It's a treasure trove of life lessons disguised as a wild ride. From the importance of teamwork and accepting one's flaws, to the value of family, friendship, and even embracing change, this film has something for everyone, regardless of age or background. And let's not forget about the visual feast that is Collision Course's animated world, the attention to detail in recreating the prehistoric setting. From the dinosaurs roaming the earth to the accurately rendered flora and fauna is truly a testament to the talented artists and animators who brought this world to life. In conclusion, while Ice Age Collision Course might not be everyone's cup of tea, it undeniably has left a lasting impact on pop culture and will continue to inspire generations to come with its timeless lessons wrapped in an entertaining package. And who doesn't love a good Scrat-tastrophe joke every now and then?
Well, Tom, as we conclude our discussion on Ice Age, Collision Course, I'm afraid my opinion remains unchanged. While there were some moments of genuine laughter and heartwarming moments scattered throughout the film, it simply doesn't live up to the standards set by its predecessors. The forced humor and predictable plot lines left me feeling more bored than entertained.
Oh, come on, Timmy. You gotta give credit where credit is due. Sure, Collision Course might not be the best installment in the series, but it's still a fun ride filled with familiar faces and crazy adventures. Plus, who doesn't love seeing Scrat and his never-ending quest to save his acorn? It's classic comedy gold. And let's not forget about the stunning animation and attention to detail that went into recreating prehistoric Earth. It's truly a feast for the eyes.
Well, I suppose you can't deny that the animation is top-notch. But overall, Ice Age, Collision Course fails to deliver the same level of depth and emotional resonance as the earlier films in the series. It feels more like a cash-grabbing attempt than a genuine continuation of the beloved franchise.
Well, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree on that one, huh? But that's what makes our podcast so entertaining. We bring different perspectives to the table and spark debates like this. So if you enjoyed our chat today, please don't hesitate to hit that like button, comment below, and share this video with your friends and family who also love a good animated flick. And remember, the best way to stay up to date on all things film is to subscribe to our channel for more fun discussions and reviews. Thanks for joining us today, Timothy. And until next time, farewell, my fellow movie buffs.